Very, very good afternoon, everyone. Charles here, FRGNT Daily Chart Analysis, Thursday, 21st of May, 2026. Right, so let's get straight to it. Had a pretty productive morning into the afternoon. First position we'll go through, we'll talk about GJ. Bit of a non-mover at the moment. Nevertheless, this is now locked in at break-even. Had the opportunity to go break-even slightly earlier. Just looking at the imbalance in the opposite direction as a result of price, in my opinion, still bullish. Therefore, my position indeed was an aggressive short position. Therefore, with an aggressive short position, I need to take the opportunity when the price is allowing me to go break-even. I've seen the imbalance in the opposite direction. And what I mean by that is we've made that higher high here, higher low, followed by a higher high. So, of course, my entry could just be that higher low for a continuation higher high. Therefore, the imbalance in the opposite direction that I'm looking at, I should have gone break even at this point, but I failed to do so. I'll be quite honest. I didn't go break even there. I didn't want to be taken out of that position break even. I'll be quite honest with you all. I liked GJ. I'm trying to learn from the fact that EU this morning I would have been I went break even, moved my stop to break even. Of course, trade took me out break even, and I luckily was able to re-enter on a 1 minute order block the price came back to. Therefore, with that in mind, I didn't go break even on GJ, but now for sure I've got that opportunity again by price coming back into this order block. And in fairness, I don't now believe price is going to push towards the upside. What I'm seeing is more of a bit of a liquidity grab here. I don't trade double bottoms and double tops, for good example. I just see those as areas where price is going to look to push and drive down into. Therefore, my second area of management should be around about this area on GJ. So that's GJ this morning. In terms of the higher time frame, I thought that looked quite nice as well. Where were we? Higher time frame, looking to reject that higher time frame order block. But more importantly, what I did like was this 15-minute. To be honest, it was all based on the 15-minute. I'll be quite honest there. That 15-minute, if I zoom right out, hold your eyes and ears, look at this 15-minute order block. And the reason why I was interested in that area is look at the drop that came from that area. Anytime price is making such a move from a particular area, I want to understand why. I want to seek and understand, is there a 15-minute order block up at that high? And the reason why I say 15 minutes, that's my foundation. I always seek to build foundation when I'm trading via that 15-minute order block. And then when price goes into that 15-minute point of interest, I'm looking to refine those areas down by way of breaks of structure, as I did this morning on GJ. So that's sort of the reason behind taking that position. Of course, I'm not anticipating by any means a move of that degree back down, but what I am anticipating and what I've now taken benefit from is a particular move that would allow me to get break even. So with my trading, that is always the goal. Do I have room? Do I have range in order to go break even on the trade? And I believed when price is giving us that directional move, price should then, once it returns, allow us to at least move towards break even. So I've taken benefit of that now. And as I said, I don't see that as a double bottom for price to look to push towards those highs. We've had that opportunity. Price had pushed up but failed to make a higher high. That's the basics of price action, higher highs and higher lows. Once price comes into that higher low area, I'm expecting a higher high. If we fail to do so and leave an order block down at the lows, that has now been mitigated as a result of that wick. I'm now anticipating that potentially into this area for what I would now perceive as the key structure point there on GJ. So here is a nice solid area in the market that I'd be happy to see broken. Once that's broken, I believe I'll be rolling to full take profit. So we just have to have a look at that and see how we get on. So let me amend these alerts now. If I'm taking out break even, I probably want to recognize why. And then if price is towards my take profit, then of course I want an alert there as well. So that's GJ in terms of daily chart analysis. I think I did post that this morning. Yeah, here we are 7 hours ago. It feels like an age away now. But 7 hours ago, as you can see from that highlighted area, expecting a bit of a move from there, at least down to that 4-hour 50 MA, as price is well and truly respecting that to the upside. We've got session high and around that area as well in that 4-hour time frame. So of course it makes absolute sense here. You can also see that 15-minute order block in and around this area on the 4-hour time frame that actually broke structures and allowed price finally to start closing below some of these areas. So yeah, DJ was looking like a very nice setup just based on the 4-hour 15-minute time frame. And up at these highs, you can see, judging by the arrow of the direction, I believe you've got a better, higher probable area to look for your higher probable or more so your higher time frame directional type of position. 4 hour order block, refine that area down, 15-minute point of interest, looking for some reaction in and around that area before I take the short. So yeah, that was posted a couple of hours ago, or 7 to be precise. And then I do also post a bit of a 10-minute breakdown of what I was looking for a couple of hours ago as well, 5 hours ago or so. And whatever trade did I take today? I didn't post it actually. Surprisingly, I didn't post it, so we go through it now. You just have to take my word for it. I'm pretty sure I've put it somewhere. So, EU. Loving EU this morning for many reasons. I felt it just aligned beautifully. So looking at that higher time for a weekly order block, of course, looking to take shorts. If price didn't want to come back up to those highs, want to analyze the 15-minute time frame first and foremost to understand, can I get on the back of that 15-minute trend? And then most importantly, what I did really love about EU is exactly this red illustration there on that 4-hour time frame, clearly making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. So when price comes back up to that lower high area, I really do want to be taking that short position on the lower time frames to take full benefit of the leg extension that could be the potential to make a lower low. I'm not in the market really, in my opinion, to take benefit of price making those lower low moves on those higher time frames. For me, if price allows me to get to a 1 to 3 by way of an order block that ordinarily I would potentially be looking to take an inverse position, as you can see here, I'm definitely at the moment debating potential longs. I'll get into that in the moment why I won't be taking longs, but I'm more than likely going to be taking GU longs, and so now is probably not the best time to be looking at creating a video, nevertheless, but that's trading for you. So yeah, took a nice position on EU this morning. As I said, on the 4-hour time frame, that paints a picture to perfection. Then we have a look at this 4-hour order block on that 15-minute time frame. Let's bring it up there for you guys to have a better look. Again, the 15-minute time frame is painting a beautiful picture, and my textbook type of setup, that hence my excitement and speed and velocity in my voice. This is pretty much my textbook type of setup. As I said, I don't have a course. If you're able to work out how I trade, then congratulations to you. Feel free to trade alongside how I do. But as you can see in the market, price wasn't doing much at all. Structure point Asia was available. We snapped Asia. We didn't tap into this order block where I would be expecting a rejection from. So that pretty much made up my decision. As price was down here, I was looking to take this as a limit order. Nevertheless, I did not, just because I wanted to understand, well, is price going to travel up to this wick area? Of course, there is going to be a lower time frame order block up at that wick. And of course, as we know, wicks to me suggest liquidity, which means there could be all the reason for price to want to gravitate up towards these areas before looking for that short position down. However, on the lower time frames, I had a beautiful break of structure and I looked to have taken that. Price moved away, come back, took me to out at break even. I re-entered on a 1-minute time frame. I'll bring you to that entry. It's pretty much textbook as well. Absolutely love it. So I was stopped out at this position here, and as soon as I was stopped out, I re-entered straight away. As a result of then seeing price, let's have a look at it. Price then broke this slight structure point, came back up into that point of interest on the 1-minute time frame. I was taken out break even, and I immediately set pretty much after this bearish candle, immediate set a instant execution on a sell, and then price just rolled over. So yeah, as I've mentioned, on GJ was reluctant to go break even early on GJ, just in case I get stopped out break even in a position that I really do like. And as I've mentioned before, there are some positions that, for me personally, as a trader, I don't mind losing those positions that are well thought out, are well planned, well executed, and they align with textbook strategy. For me, if you can locate your textbook type of setup, you can then accompanied with your textbook type of entry. I'll be honest, I don't mind losing those positions at all, and getting stopped out break even on those positions that then roll towards take profit. It hurts slightly differently, I'll be honest. So for me, when I was taking out break even of this position, it was more so, well, do I have a valid entry point to take there again on EU, which I did, and I took full benefit of that. So rolled that down to 3% return. Of course, looking at the 4 hour time frame, we can quite understand why price isn't actually ready for that turnaround just yet, because what we're expecting is that lower low, and that's exactly what we're looking to capitalize on at the moment. So here and now, so of course, this 50-minute order block, why was I looking at that? Well, this 50-minute order block did give us some 50-minute breaks of structure to the left. So of course, when price comes down, looking to see if we can grab reaction. However, what I'm paying careful attention to is the DXY. Now, I understand if I was going to trade this index, I'd be in a lovely position at the moment, lovely point of interest, looking for my entry cry, or more so, looking for a setup first and foremost, which would be, setup wise. I'd love to have seen a snap coming out of that point of interest, or at least a break of immediate structure point on the 15-minute time frame. So the best way that I'd look to trade the index at the moment would be a break of this area. So that would definitely be a structure point on the 5-minute or the 1-minute time frame. Look for price to come back to those highs, back up into a 5 or a 15-minute order block, then look to take that short. However, as I always like to portray the worst case scenario, when price doesn't give you that break of structure and it just comes straight into your point of interest, what are you going to look to do? And that's, in my opinion, the difference between a profitable trader and a trader that just executes based on price being in the point of interest. You need to have a plan in terms of your worst case scenario. When price comes to my point of interest and hasn't actually provided me with the setup first and foremost, how am I going to enter it? Am I going to wait for the setup to be created, or I'm going to take opportunity of the fact prices in my point of interest? As I've mentioned, at the moment, I wouldn't be looking to short the DXY right now, but certainly we are in a point of interest. But the way that I see this is, of course, we've still got that gap to the highs that is looking to be filled. We understand on the weekly time frame we are looking to reject that weekly 50 EMA to the downside at some point, perhaps today and into tomorrow. We have tomorrow, the last trading day, for price to want to of course create that bearish candle closure below that weekly 50 EMA if it's meant to be. Therefore, what I'm looking to understand at the moment is liquidity. Now, as I've mentioned before, I don't see these as double tops, triple tops, quadruple tops in line with me taking an immediate short position. What I see that is the masses in the market, and not to paint a bad light for retail traders, but you make it so much easier for me. I can look at the chart and I can understand a group of traders, specific traders, are looking to take this instantaneously based upon support and resistance. And the way that I see that is it's just clear liquidity in the market. It's very easy to locate and understand that those sellers are going to be flushed to the downside. They'll be running to the bank, getting very excited that they're in some profits. Pricing continues to push up, takes those sellers out prematurely. Their stop losses, of course, then provides us with the liquidity. Then the breakout traders in this area also start running to the bank in the belief that their breakout trade is going to reach the skies and the DXY is going to continue bullish. Of course, that is an option as well. I'm not doubting that by any means. There's a daily order block right up at these highs over here, refined within the weekly time frame. It's more likely that price may want to gravitate towards that. Of course, the DXY is very bullish, but the way I see this current price action, this current 4-hour range in the market, is that we are going to get that move towards the highs, but those early buyers now, the breakout, are going to be flushed towards the downside, and it's at that point that I'm going to step over to GU, not so much EU, GU, to understand, well, GU, are we ready from this area at the moment now? So GU certainly over EU for now for me. I was looking at EU with a great degree of concentration, I must admit, to understand, well, the DXY, what if I'm wrong? And I always test myself, what if I'm wrong with my current bias? What if the sellers aren't wrong and price immediately drops from that? Well, I know what entry technique I would look to locate on the DXY for me to understand, is the DXY ready? I need to see that bearish engulfing candle, and alongside that I'll get that 15-minute order block. I then wait for price to retrace back into that lower time frame shift, and off I go in terms of that short on the DXY, meaning that EU at the same time, if EU was going to remain in around this area on that 15-minute time frame, I'd like to identify something similar on a lower time frame. But I'm happy to see, being quite honest and forecasting way ahead, I had this forecast in mind that if I was correct based on the 4-hour time frame on EU, we would indeed create that lower low, and that's exactly what we're getting. However, lower low into what area? Does it correspond perhaps with GU looking long? If we come down to here on the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour order block, perhaps, and looking to reject this weekly 50 MA back up to the upside, then using that as confluence and bias, using that towards GU, Can I look to understand, well, could GU be ready here? Perhaps, maybe I could be right or wrong. Again, it's not for me to take an immediate position from these areas. It's for me to await confirmation. And that confirmation, first and foremost, for me, must come from the DXY. So I need to see a slowdown in the DXY first and foremost, understand what's going on at the moment. So we've had a bit of a bearish move coming out of here. I do believe that the sellers, their stop losses are still not fully taken out of the market. You can quite understand if you were going to sell from those highs, you probably have your stop loss somewhere around here. So let's see, let's understand and see what the market's going to do. We're going to flush those stops out, bring it down, and we'll have a go and see what's going on in the market. So for me at the moment, GU longs in some capacity. Also, I'm using US dollar CAD as a good confluence as well in the trade. So again, US dollar CAD aligning nice with the DXY. We're up at those highs. Again, look at these areas where the basics of trading, once you first start out, you're looking at support and resistance depending on what you've studied firstly. And of course, you'll be looking at these areas and looking to take immediate shorts and place your stop loss above those highs. So US dollar CAD for me still got good room towards the upside before we're looking to take those stops out. Weekly 50 MA where price is looking to reject down to the downside. Does that correspond with the DXY? Of course, looking to fill that gap towards the upside, trend deeper into that 4 hour order block, and with an hour and 16 minutes remaining, I fully expect this 4 hour order block to reject to the downside, meaning that we'd still be able to use it as support in inverted commas for that short position. So I think everything is aligning nicely at the moment. That doesn't write me off for US dollar CAD shorts either. It just means I've got a bit of a waiting to do beforehand. You can see my alerts are down here, ready for price to cross back down. We'll have a look to see what goes on today. But in terms of the day's play, it's been very successful. AU yesterday, nice looking trade. What do we have today? EU shorts was also quite nice, closed it out 3%. So it's been a very productive and patient week in all honesty. And yeah, just a good ending note that sometimes you double check yourself when it's been a bit of a slow week. Monday already anticipated would be a slow week based on the DXY where it was. DXY bullish up and towards that 50. I mean, I don't even have to look at the chart to remember what was going on. The DXY was up at those highs, 50 EMA. However, that didn't really correspond with the fact that we were previously bullish on the DXY. So, of course, when priced at the 50 EMA on the weekly time frame, our anticipation is weakness coming out of the market, but that didn't correspond fully with what the DXY was saying. And then what that had meant was all of the other cross pairs were looking good for reversals. And straight out of the week, you don't really want to be looking to take a reversal trade. So you had to be very, 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 very patient to wait for price to come back up to those key areas. Miss out on potential long positions on the cross pairs, but able to capitalize on them later on. So patience certainly does play, guys and girls, in the market. Just stick to your strategy, stick to your bias, and more importantly, I always write home about it. If you do have a thought process, it's not about generating followers. Of course, I do appreciate all of the followers. I love it. That is definitely a reason why I do post, but this holds yourself accountable. As you can see by the comments I put underneath them, that's just my charts. When I post the entries or the losses or the wins, I just put the comment underneath and post a link, and that just holds me accountable. I copy and paste everything into my journal, and it makes trading very, very much so streamlined. While I'm there, of course, looking at that EU position, I don't know if you're able to see this chart here, but this certainly does align in terms of that textbook position. So just as a bit of proof there that I simply just trade as I journal. As I post. There's no real difference at all. Sometimes I'll be slightly more aggressive, but being more aggressive, I still will await that lower time frame shift. The same thing that I'd wait on a 15-minute time frame. It's just doing it on a slightly different time frame. So team, as you can hear, I am suffering with allergies yet again, so I'll keep this very brief for you. 20 minutes of a bit of an update, looking at what I'm looking at going into, well, the final segments of New York, and then that will be the day's plays. All the best, everyone. As always, thank you very much for your support, attention, your likes, whatever they're called, boosts. Do appreciate them all. All the very best in your trading journey, and let's see if the DXY holds that area. Let's see if you CAD short from the area, and then let's see if we can get a potential long move on GU this afternoon. So all the best. Take care. Nothing in too much of a hurry. Stay patient. Remember to manage your risk as well. Take care, Charles.